Want to make movies? Hey there, aspiring filmmakers. You're the new Hollywood generation. My name is Orlando Delbert. This is Hollywood Unapologetic. I first wrote about success in filmmaking, success in life, when I was writing Pollyanna's tear-soaked Battlefields of Hollywood, a survival guide against the cynicism and the hypocritical. Today I wanted to speak about Filmmaking Essentials, 11 things you need to do and be mindful of during the development stage of film production during the coronavirus pandemic. For you, the new Hollywood generation, this directly applies to you. If you haven't watched Filmmaking Essentials Reopening Hollywood, I'll have a link at the end of this episode for you to check out. And since the Hollywood Task Force released its white papers on reopening Hollywood, follow the link in the description for the downloadable PDF. I've been asked via Twitter, what is the film production process during the coronavirus pandemic? This is a common question, and I wanted to address it in the Reopening Hollywood series. But I should add, the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, who shared the long-anticipated document on proposed procedures, proposed health and safety guidelines for motion picture, television, and streaming productions during the COVID-19 pandemic. Whew, that's a hell of a title. The white papers, the next steps we speak about here, would be the steps everyone should follow in the filmmaking process with their proposed guidelines in mind. I have to mention up front, there is a lot to creating our vision. Most of the steps for motion picture, television, and streaming productions of higher production value are the same in the most part, but distribution is different. Plus, with the growing availability of digital and self-distribution outlets online, and with the growing popularity of crowdfunding, there's multiple ways to get your vision financed and your voice heard. I offer these episodes to give you more in-depth information, all in the hopes to help you make your checklist of things you need to have in order and be mindful of before you pick up your camera and shoot a single frame. The first stage in the filmmaking production process is the development stage. This is the stage when ideas for a film are put together. Sometimes that means acquiring the rights to a book, stage play, magazine article, video game, comic book, graphic novel, or directly from the source of a true story. Other times the screenplay has already been written or a pitch for an idea is available. Whether you've acquired the rights, have a pitch or an idea, the first thing you will need to do during the development stage is to get a good script. This may not be as simple as it sounds. For every good script, there are countless others that are especially bad. A good script will move you. A bad script will leave you with the feeling that the time lost in reading it will never be given back. Some individuals that want to direct are writers who want to see their ideas brought to fruition. Others are actors who want to have control of a particular project and would like to see their interpretation of it on the big screen. Regardless of where the script comes from, you will want to tell a good story. Remember, good filmmaking is good storytelling. In the event you want to develop a screenplay from an idea or someone's pitch, the producer will work with a writer or writers to strengthen the mood of the story, the development of the characters, and dialogue. This happens next. We're going to break down the script. What that means is go through the script scene by scene and make a list of what is needed for each shot. This will go into your production package or show bible for television and will help you figure out your budget, production schedule, what crew is needed, and everything else to see your project all the way through. The producer of the project usually does this. He often will work with a writer or writers to create a treatment for the project and break down each scene that concentrates on structure. Usually for a feature-length film, the treatment can be 25-30 pages or so in length. This is known as the original draft treatment. Some producers will contact film distributors at this stage to help assess what the potential is for financial success of the project. Every distributor has a set criteria designed to bring in maximum return of their investment. Film genre, target demographic, and markets for distribution are also considered. We'll get more into that in this distribution stage. Please keep in mind, through your production journey, Hollywood is about making money first. Keep in mind, whomever you speak to in regards to financing and distribution are concerned only with their financial return, and that's it. Being mindful of this in the development stage helps dramatically in your chances of securing financing, distribution, and possibly gaining a profitable film project. The distributors will look at what is popular at the moment and compare that with recent trends and with similar projects in the past, as well as whom the directors and actors were in those projects, and compare with who would be fitting for your project and your list of letters of intent, if you have any. Letters of intent, or LOIs, are documents outlining one or more agreements between the film's producers and those who plan to be involved with your project. Oftentimes, on-camera talent and above-the-line crew members make agreements in writing, which in part helps the producers secure financing. The more notoriety, success, and recognizable names are attached to your project, the higher the chances of getting financing and distribution. By the way, for most of you watching this, Half, if not most of the funding for your project will most likely come from your distribution deal. We'll get more into that in the distribution stage and when we discuss the negative pickup deal. All right, now it's time to get some money. Or better said, build the essential elements and mindset to go get some money. Yes, that's better. You have to be clear and focused at this point, and understanding what you do next will help you secure financing. This can be a bit of a challenge for some of you. While the producer and screenwriter are working on the script, they often will write a film synopsis, film pitch, and a presentation treatment as well to help get the financing needed for a production. A film synopsis is a brief summary of what the film is about with the focus on the major points of the film. Brief is the operative word here, boys and girls. Your film pitch is a verbal presentation of your film. Oftentimes, the film's director or the screenwriter will present the pitch to a film producer or studio executive in the hopes of securing financing. Think of it this way. A film pitch is much like a film synopsis, but it's more of a quick presentation you can give someone in under 30 seconds to hook him or her into your idea. Imagine getting on an elevator and you find yourself standing next to an angel investor or executive producer you know would love your project. What are you going to do? Stare at the doors, or will you introduce yourself? You may have 20 to maybe 30 seconds to clearly and concisely introduce yourself, your project, and give them the hook to bring them in to want to know more. Yes, the hook. Advertising executive Donnie Deutsch used to call this the elevator pitch on his television show The Big Idea with Donnie Deutsch when it ran on CNBC. I don't know if he came up with the term or not, but it's something I've heard many successful entrepreneurs talk about, myself included. Presentation treatment is usually scene description cards written out in order consisting of main story points that describe each scene. Think of it as the simplest representation of your film. I love these. I think of these as the precursor to storyboards. You want to be able to present the film's concept, subject matter, to introduce the characters, and a synopsis of the master scenes. The purpose of the presentation treatment is to show how production notes have been incorporated into the project screenplay. These help the director and production executives see what is needed for each scene and see how the story flows. I should also mention you'll need a film synopsis and film presentation treatment when you present your film pitch. Keep in mind, as you are working on what is needed during this stage of the production process, all of those you will ask for help have not heard of your project, and for most of you, they might not have heard of you either. Next, and very importantly, don't get overwhelmed. One of the things that happen to first-time filmmakers is that they have moments of being overwhelmed. This can easily happen. Although a reoccurring theme throughout this series is the importance of being flexible, staying positive, planning and keeping things moving forward, creating and sticking to a plan, and following it is the only way not to be overwhelmed. You have to pick one item at a time of the day's to-do list and check that off once you're done. I should add that what I've mentioned here today might have some overlap. It's best to put together these items in order, but as you go through the process, you'll most likely find one of the elements you're working on directly affects something else. Sometimes multiple items are worked on simultaneously. If you're a one-man or one-woman show, it may be a bit difficult to do, but like with anything else, do your best to do one thing at a time and don't let it overwhelm you. Have fun with it. Being part of any film crew, you have to accept is a very tightly run unit. As I mentioned throughout this series, we, as members of the new Hollywood generation, are all in it together. We're all in close proximity of one another, and under normal circumstances, sometimes our lives are at risk while on the clock. Today the risk is higher, and this new way of working and living may be with us for months or even years to come. Be safe, be smart, take it all one day at a time, and don't forget to be great. I'm going to add a link at the very end to the episode, Filmmaking Essentials, Reopening Hollywood. If you haven't checked it out, I think you'll dig it. Are you ready for the challenge?